right, welcome to the program, folks. October the 31st, you're with the Editor-in-Chief live with Lester's Oil, your multi-ingredient omega-3 healthy aging supplement backed by thousands of satisfied customers. 6 supplements in 1 capsule, supports joint, heart and brain health. Take as directed, read the label, About Health, Auckland.
Duncan Garner, live.
Evening, everybody. I'm Duncan Garner. Welcome to the show. Send us a message, and all the details are on screen how to do that. Tonight's mental health campaigner, Mike King, answers the questions about the government's $24 million contribution to his charity I Am Hope, and how timely given tomorrow is Gumboot Friday, his big fundraising drive. The $24 million pays for young people to see a counsellor. Then Mike gets these young people in front of counsellors in record time. But it's also seen people give his charity fewer donations because they think he's now sorted, and it drives him bonkers. And he says some in the media are making up damaging headlines, and he wants to put it right. So let's go.
Duncan Garner, live.
Yeah, Mike King, heart on the sleeve sort of guy, and he says it how it is. He's frustrated and elated at the same time. Happy to get the funding, of course, the $24 million across the line, but wondering whether it's worth the trouble. On the eve of Gumboot Friday, I got him in to ask a few questions of my own. I spoke to him a little bit earlier today. Joined by Mike King. Gumboot Friday, of course, is tomorrow. Mike, g'day, mate. Kia ora, nice to have you on.
Good evening, Dunk. How are you, mate?
Not too bad. Yeah, really good. And how was the trip? So you've been around the country on an electric bike, and you've been pushing the message. How'd it go?
5,100 Ks in 29 days, and it was amazing, mate. I'll do it again tomorrow.
Yeah,
seriously, it was a really great time for me, just to get my shit together, really, and focus on the things that are important, and not all the white noise that's going on around me.
How if you were to report back to the country on the state of our country, the state of the people, you went to small towns. I remember I was speaking to you, just touching base with you during this tour. You've been lots of small towns, and how are the people? How are New Zealanders doing? What do you reckon?
I think, well, they're pretty much like me, really. They're kind of anxious and a bit worried about, where we're going as a country, and I think we're all on the same. We're all on the same waka when I say, this is the most divided we've ever been as a country, and it's a scary time for everyone.
It's like the Americanization of us, really. In America, you're either Republican or Democrat. They're really angry with each other, and you're in a tribe. We've kind of, sadly and unfortunately, I hope we get out of this, but we've gone down that path, I reckon.
Oh, we are. We're so far down that path we don't even know we're down it. Everyone's being judged by the uniform they wear, whether they're ACT, National, Labour, New Zealand First, Green, or, Christian, Muslim, Māori, Pākehā, Chinese. Everyone is sitting in little echo chambers and listening to one voice and one voice only, and that's their own tribe's voice. And unfortunately, within those tribes, there are people that want to be the leaders and want to lead the tribe, and most people just follow, and we're not getting a wide view on what's actually going on out there in the world, and it's really sad, because what you'll find is when you talk to most people, regardless of who they are and who they represent, you find that 9 out of 10 times they're just ordinary human beings trying to do the right thing by their kids.
I know it's whipped up into these groups. I saw some journalist wrote the other day they couldn't believe that John Key had expressed support for Trump. It's not a crime to support a politician who's standing for office, is it?
Well, to have an opinion. He wasn't supporting on it. He had an opinion. He thinks that Trump is better economically for the country. He didn't say he was a good man and I support his racist views. He just said, and that's the problem in this country. Everyone is scared to tell people what they think, not because they don't believe in what they think or they don't have an opinion. They're scared of the rejection. They're scared of the reaction. Like, you try asking anyone you get on your show, ask them, who did you vote for last election? Duncan, that's very private. Yes. I can't go into that because then people will assume I'm this or I'm that. Well, Bryce Edwards the other day claimed that, I was a National Party stooge, and clearly I'm a national supporter. When I voted for Tash Kemp, the Māori Party MP. So
people don't know what they're talking about. This is the thing. If I had $1 for every time I was called right wing or left wing or pro Māori or anti Māori, I wouldn't be doing this, mate. I'd be in Hawaii, mate, sitting back and having a cocktail or something, because you get accused of so much. People don't know you until they know you.
Well, I posted that, on some social media platform, and one of the comments from the right wing, oh, everyone's going to hate you now. Oh, you shouldn't have said that. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I know why I voted for Tash, not because she belonged to any party, because I've seen the work that she has been doing in the South Auckland community where I live
Yes.
for a long time. And I believe that she is a strong-willed community woman, so I vote for her.
And why would you
she's
have to
in my
justify it
electorate.
anyway? Good on. Why do we feel like we even have to justify this stuff? Because there are certain sections they don't mind free speech as long as it's their free speech and their terms.
And that's the road we're going on. And like I've expressed to you in the past, the most dangerous thing about our division is it is hidden.
Yeah.
People are hiding it. And I'll give you a classic example. Mike Hosking has the #1 radio show
Yep.
in New Zealand.
By a long way. Yep.
By far. Yeah. Daylight second and third. But you can't find one person that will admit listening to it.
Yeah, I know. Where are
I
they?
listen to him. I listen to him every day. Why? Because he is good at his job. He
Really
is well
good.
researched. He speaks with facts. I don't agree with a lot of what he says, but he gives me a more rounded view of how people in his tribe think, and I think that's really, really important.
And the great
it
thing
helps
is
me to understand him better.
and you can oppose him, you can disagree with him, and
It's
fine.
fine.
And that's the way it should be. I listen to him as well because what else is there to listen to? Like we've become so narrow now in New Zealand.
It's interesting that people say, especially that mob on the left. He's this and he's that, and he's a national. Like I listen to him. He grills Christopher Luxon like he grills Jacinda Ardern. There are no prisoners. There's no soft interviews. I think he's great. As I said, I don't agree with a lot of what he has to say, but I have deep admiration for the man.
It's tall poppy, and we're now worse than ever at tall poppy. We criticise success. We should embrace wealth. We should embrace success. Embrace the guy that's doing well. I want to be like him.
Well, I don't even think it's tall poppy. I think it's more around tribalism. He's, everything he says is against my tribe. Your tribe is your family, your kids. That's your tribe. Not all these other people out there that claim to represent you.
They don't.
You are the chief of your tribe, and you are there to look after your children, not chase after all of these other people that you've put up and suddenly want to worship. So we all have a decision to make, and as all good neighbours, you should talk to the neighbour over the fence, regardless of what they look like and regardless of what they represent.
Yep.
I live in South Auckland. I live in a really, really, really culturally rich neighbourhood full of Fijian Indians, full of Pacific Islanders, full of Māori. I've had 501. The 501s were my next door neighbour at one stage. They had 3 generations of family there, and the best kind of neighbours. So, sure, they were doing their own thing. The younger members of their family were doing their own thing, but they were respectful, they were kind, they were caring, So we spend too much time judging uniforms. I came on the tour, I was in Taupo, right? And the headhunters were down there. There's about 60 of them.
Yep.
And they were down the eating area, so they're all in different places. There was not one sign of disrespect, or intimidation of anybody. And I came out of McDonald's, and 2 of them said, "Hey, bro, we're going to be wearing our gumboots to work on Friday." What do you say to that?
There we go.
What do you say to that?
I was at a tangi, my son's rugby league coach, who was a fringe associate, with headhunters. He died. He died in a car crash, and I had to take these 8-year-old boys to the house to pay respects to him as he lay inside there. And so we got there at 10 o'clock at night. It was getting late. These boys are 8, and the big group of headhunters are ahead of us. And so I parked myself there with these boys, look after these boys. So that was getting late, and a couple of the headhunters turned to me and said, "Oh, hey, Duncan, do you want to come through? Because you got the boys." I said, "Oh, is that okay?" And they said, "Come on through." And they got the boys, they ushered them through, they held their hands, and right the way through to the house to where Corey was lying in the coffin. And it was You know, I saw a different side to them, you know, then.
Of course.
And one of the rugby league team, one of the fathers, he was headhunter, he was nothing but respectful. There was a fight on the sideline. He never got involved. He never got involved. He thought it was ridiculous. My neighbour was my neighbour was a Hell's Angel. For 10 years, my neighbour was Hell's Angel.
Yeah.
And when there was a storm and all, he came across everything all right, bro. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
just judge
here
how
it
you
is.
see it in front of you, you know?
You've summed it up beautifully. What came first to the gang members? What comes first to the judge and the businessman and the grandparents from everywhere? It's the kids.
Yeah.
They saw the kids. The uniform gets stripped away. It's about the kids, and this is what I would like to see in our country. And I know there's going to be people there watching now. Oh, Mike King and Duncan Garner, they love gang. They support methamphetamine. You know, it's like, just stop. Just stop for 1 second. Put your sword down.
Don't make that judgment. You know, don't jump to a conclusion.
Yeah.
That's completely crap.
Yeah.
Speaking of kids, so you've got this money that's come from the government to fund the. I almost wonder if it's a noose around your neck, to be honest. You've got the 24 million over a number of years.
Yeah,
it's held by them. It's held by the health ministry. You have to invoice them for it. It's hardly in your back pocket. I reckon it's been, and you've received some bit of negative publicity on this too. Explain to New Zealanders how it works. You know.
So it's a grateful noose that I have around my back, around my neck. I'm deeply thankful that we are getting any kind of support, but we didn't get $24 million. We will never get $24 million. We get funded. We submit the receipts after we've paid the bill. The Ministry of Health reimburses us the money. So the government allocated $24 million. They gave that money to the Ministry of Health, and the Ministry of Health give that to us monthly. And like I said, you know, we're grateful for it. It is covering the existing 550 counsellors that we have. I have another 580 on the waiting list, which I'd like to bring on board as quickly as possible. But because everyone thinks I've got $24 million, they go, "Oh, you're good now, Mike. We will distribute the money to others. You know, we'll give it to other worthy causes." So it's put quite a bit of strain on my organisation. But I think it's just purely through. I don't want to say games, but purely through misleading reporting.
Yes,
Every headline always says comedian Mike King got $24 million and every other charity in New Zealand missed out, which is just completely
It's actually inaccurate.
bollocks.
Well, I mean, the health ministry got funded a certain allocation, which is called in Wellington. They vote that money to there. It sits there in a pool, and it's only paid out when you invoice for the work that's already done. So you have to front up anyway. I mean, it's pretty. I mean, you cannot rip these guys off because it's impossible to, because you don't have the money.
No, well, if they gave me the $24 million, then I would at least have the opportunity to have that money in the bank to gain interest to cover some of the costs. But it's not there, and I accept that it's never going to be there, and that's okay. The message I'm trying to get out to people is we don't have $24 million, and we're never going to have $24 million, but we've got enough counsellors now to give more kids access. Otherwise, I'm just going to have to hold them back.
So how do you pay for the cost of how do you pay for the cost of your charity then? So the administration, all the work that goes on, you still need funding. So the message tonight I want to get across, you tell me if I was right or wrong, is you've got to keep, if you can, donating to Gumboot Friday and to Mike's charity, I Am Hope, because you're still going to run the thing, right?
Well, no. So I can cover the running costs. Or at least for now, I can cover the running costs. What I want to do is I want to give more kids access to counsellors. So under the Labour government, they continually said, Andrew Little was forever banging on that there aren't enough counsellors in New Zealand. At that time, I had over 1,000 counsellors on my books. He refused to hear. I've got 550 counsellors, I've got 580 on the waiting list, which I would like to bring in, but once the money goes over $500,000, I have to find the extra. And you know what will happen, Duncan? If I brought on all of these counsellors and and suddenly I got $1 million bill, I wouldn't be able to meet it.
Yeah, I see.
So then it would be councillors go, Mike King, stop paying the bills, and everyone will go, aha, we told you he was a crook.
I can see the headline.
He wasn't ready.
It's a disaster.
And I'm just like, so I'm holding back. I am just maintaining a level that people are getting the help that they need immediately. But we can do more. We can actually do more. So this is a public-private partnership. So the government are putting in their bit. We've still got to do our bit if we want our kids to get the help they need. And remember, every single cent donated to Gumboot Friday goes to the counsellors.
Yeah,
and that's the other thing that like political reporters really annoy me when they say things like, there are other charities doing similar work. There is not a single charity out there that delivers free counselling to 5 to 25-year-olds, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of gender, and regardless of economics. There is no one, and there is certainly no charity or NGO out there that gives 100% of this government's money directly to the kids, i.e. through the councillors. We do not take 1 cent. And I think that's why Gumboot Friday has been so successful. That's why Gumboot Friday has had $13 million thrown at it before the government funded, $13 million from the public of New Zealand, because they knew exactly where their money was going.
And they trust
we are not
they
an
trust
untried
you.
operation.
No, they trust it. They know the outcomes. No, they know the outcomes. They see the outcomes. They hear the outcomes, and they trust you and they believe in you. And that's all that needs to be said, And for the rest of it's white noise. But I get frustrated at the misreporting, because I've been part of the Butterbean movement, and Luxon goes out there and says, "Oh, we gave them this much." No, you didn't. That's over 2 years. We've got to run the food bank. There's 1,000 people a week coming out. How do we feed them? The government rang us at the time that we were saying we can't do it anymore. The government rang us and was trying to afford more people to us.
Yeah, I know. And honestly, bro, I don't think that's the government. I think that's the bureaucracy, though. The heads of all of these departments out there. I mean, governments come and go, as you know, Duncan. How many elections you've done? You've
10.
done 30.
Yeah. I'm 50. I've done 10.
Yeah, you've done 10. So you've covered 10 elections. Politicians come and go. Some of those bureaucrats from the first election you ever covered will still be there. They will still be there. So.
Yep.
It does. I think we wrongly label politicians as the enemy of the country.
Yeah, they're as frustrated with the public service. They're frustrated. The public service, in my view, has never been so poor, never been so weak, They can't do anything anymore. They don't take risks. They don't know how to do. They're not creative.
Well, who was the police minister that? What's her name? Kiri.
Yes.
She was accused of bullying her staff. She wasn't bullying staff. She was bullying bureaucracies and go, I told you to get this job done. And they went, man, this is what happened. She's horrible.
Yeah.
Someone has to step up and say, enough.
You've got to demand more from the public service. You've got to audit them every day and say, I want better, because you're asking for better for New Zealanders. Yeah. Why can't you go and make this happen? They don't want to make anything happen.
I've always said that there is plenty of money to solve the problems in this country. It's where the money is going that is the problem.
It's a whole new
always
podcast.
Has been, always will be. Like every road you travel on nowadays, it's just orange cones. That's bureaucracy.
Yeah.
I mean, I got into the wrong cones when I was 15, Duncan.
Is your problem, mate?
If I'd got into those orange ones, wow.
One you can make lots of money from. The other one, you got to spend money on.
You can make one you can make lots of money from. The other you can make billions from.
Yeah, that's right. Except that, you might have to sort of run with the law every now and then too.
Well, each one of those cones is $1 a day.
I know.
$1 a day.
I know. It's like scaffolding. You pay for it no matter what happens. Hey, just very brief before we go. So the kids are out there. Well, 5 to 25-year-olds are getting the counselling, and that's great. Anxiety's an issue amongst some of our young kids these days. I see it in our family. They're more anxious and more on edge, James.
Well, if I was to describe mental health as a cake, The bottom tier would be anxiety. 79% of all mental health issues among young people start with anxiety. Tier number 2, depression. That makes sense, doesn't it? If you're anxious long enough, you get depressed.
Yeah.
The third is stress. The stress that our young people are under today to not only to achieve, but to do better and to live with all this conformity and all the social media and all the news that is being fed. So stress is the third tier. The fourth tier is the problem. The fourth tier is cupcakes. Lots and lots of cupcakes. It can be smoking, it can be drugs, it can be alcohol, it can be vaping, lots of these. And the problem with cupcakes is, or the problem with this wedding cake is, the bottom 3 tiers are generational change.
Yeah.
So everyone focuses on the cupcake, and the one for this government's term will be vaping. We will halve the vaping rate before, and you've halved the cupcake. Yeah. That's all you've done.
Well, you're doubling
Meanwhile,
it.
We
let the thing wild in New Zealand. We didn't test it. We just said, go vaping, kids. We put one on every corner. 1,000 vaping shops set up during COVID. 1,000.
I know. It's just, isn't it? I agree, brother. I'm with you 100%. So, this Friday, just all I would like for people to do really is everyone put your stones down and everyone stop staring at the uniform of everyone else and put on your gumboots. And if you see someone out there with their gumboots on who's not wearing your uniform, just walk up and say hello.
Yeah.
And you know what? The interaction that causes might just change your life forever. But more importantly, it might change the lives of your kids, because the example that we are setting for them with our confrontational style is having a devastating effect on their lives. So let's call it Armistice Day. Remember in the First World War when the British and the Germans put down there and they went out and they showed each other photos and they played football and they smoked cigarettes, and then they realized that underneath the other guy's uniform was just a man who loved his family.
And don't forget, the kids are down there, they're small, they look up and they see their dad or their mum. You are the role model. Always. You
are the role model.
And they think you're a hero.
Everest.
Exactly. Yeah. So just watch your behaviour. Hey, Mike, good to see you, bro. Awesome, mate. And if people can give generously tomorrow, it's a great cause, and I recommend it. Awesome, Mike.
More importantly, just wear your gumboots. That's all you have to do. Don't want your money. Wear your gumboots.
Good on you, Mike. Appreciate the time, mate.
Thank you, brother.
Okay, take care. Go well.
You too, brother. Bye.
Thanks, mate.
Duncan Garner, live.
Yeah, Mike King, he wears his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he? That interview was done before he made the comments about, alcohol's not such a bad thing. What he was saying. It's so a lot of question marks about that comment, but that interview was done before he made the comments. 0800 863 293. I'll take your calls. Jay, we got you on the line. G'day, Jay. Hello, Jay.
Hello.
Yeah, g'day, mate. You got through. How's it going?
Oh, awesome. Yeah, cool. Thanks. Good, thanks. Yeah.
Works well, eh? You were just on TikTok. I said call the number and you've called. Brilliant. What's on your mind? Works well.
Yeah, well, I think just scrolling through and caught the time of where they're talking about the youth in there.
Yep.
There's definitely, I've been sort of involved myself with certain youth organisations and sort of been a part of some of the youth services and social services.
Yes.
And, there's definitely something that I've seen that needs addressing.
What's that?
Which could have kind of put me onto the path I am now, and that's starting a service called Mana Solutions NZ.
Yes.
And it's about coming up with focused on solutions to eliminate problems. Not solutions to learn how to coexist alongside problems, but eliminate it.
Yeah, smart. So, and I think solutions are really crucial. Like, when I do talk back or when we do this sort of thing, I don't just want to talk about the problem. I want to find a solution. So we want to come up with an idea to be useful to somebody. But I like it. You're taking it a step further. Don't coexist with it. Get rid of it.
Yeah. So what the sort of sector that I'm in now is focusing on our troubled kids and troubled youth. To understand that there's a gap that has always been there since the beginning of, time, I suppose.
Yes.
Where there's the ages, when I say troubled kids and troubled youth, I'm talking the ages of 8 to 13.
Yeah, there's a real hole and there's a real gap, especially in mental health services in that area.
There's a massive gap there.
Yep.
And hats off to all the social services that step in on the youth, which is from the ages 14 and up. But there isn't anything there to fill in that gap from the ages 8 to 13.
No, well spotted.
And a lot of services out there, they sort of provide an intervention, not so much a prevention.
Yep.
And we can point fingers at the caregivers and the parents and say, look, it's their duties and obligations. But to understand, when I talk about our troubled kids and youth, to understand that these caregivers and parents were once kids, and that gap has always existed.
Yeah, I know people where they've tried to get a bed, where someone is sort of suicidal and so forth. They're very young and they've struggled to get to a service because it simply doesn't exist. But I think there's more awareness of it now, and certainly with what you're doing, it's fantastic. As long as you can get funding, because this government's slashing funding all over the show. That's what worries me, is they don't know what they're slashing,
Yeah, the thing is too is that a lot of these youth organisations that I reached out to and connected with, there's a lot of funding that's been stripped from their
Yes.
the organisations.
Yes.
But the thing is that the Hamilton City Council have opened up a new youth advisory group.
Oh, yep.
So I've been involving myself with that just to kind of not only involve myself to hear what it's about, but more to plant the seed and share what it is I'm doing, because there's always been that gap, and I've created a model around the services, a model around a project that I'm working on, which is reshape the minds of the troubled kids and troubled youth. Yeah,
it's fantastic. I mean, anything that's positive like that. I mean, Billy Graham does stuff in Wellington, and he's had his funding cut. I mean, his job was to get people back to school after COVID hit. 96% success rate, and the government cut the funding.
Yeah. And see that when I say reshape the minds, I mean empowering them through innovation.
Yep.
And when I say innovation, I mean tap into that creative mind, not just for fun because there's a sense of urgency. But it's more about tap into that creative mind so you can develop a product or service that has market value.
Yeah, and these kids are smart. These kids are digitally minded. These kids are digital natives. I mean, these kids are smarter than all of us,
We're definitely in the digital realm, So when I say to reshape the minds and empower them through innovation, I mean like fashion design, software development, art. Nowadays streaming is a big thing, So when I focus. The reason why I'm focusing on the troubled kids and troubled youth is because they have the massive impact, not just on themselves, their whānau, but the community.
But Jay, ask them what they like. Ask them what they're good at. Ask them what interests them. So many of these kids go to school and drop out because they're just getting lectured to, and some old teacher telling them about the history of the Second World War or whatever. They want something that's relevant. They are digital natives, so they've got their phones connected to their bodies, so they're in that space. And school might actually bore them. Ask them what they're good at. And mind that area, mate,
That's exactly it. So when I pull them into a space, we throw a notepad on the table and we say, let's come up with some ideas, whether it's, like I said, software development, fashion design, whatever it is. We'll come up with those ideas and we'll use your ideas so we can turn this into something, market value, with a market value.
Yep, well, good luck.
So it's also a lot of things that we have now, it all was created by an idea. Everything we can think of.
Yeah. Well, I think it's great. You're in a positive space, and it's going to help young people. I mean, if that's the aim, then go for it.
That's it. Because when you look at it, our troubled kids and troubled youth contribute to the crime.
Yeah.
Totally. Gang involvement.
Get away from
depression
them.
and suicide.
Yep.
And in future, poverty and all that sort of stuff. So when you look at, because I'm Māori, when you look at the statistics, it says 70% of Māori make up 70% of their lower socioeconomic group. Crime, gang involvement, incarceration, depression and suicide, 70% of it.
We've got to change the tune.
Also, when you
change the record. We need to change the record,
break that. And it all started from adolescence.
Of course it did. Yep, and being put into boys' homes and, the Owalaka boys' home and places like that. They learned to be criminals in those places, That's what happened.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and nothing's really addressing to lift their self-confidence, lift their sense of self-worth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I hear you. Stand tall, be proud, and it also can start with where they're from, who they are.
Okay. Well, that's it. So when you look at the Māori identity and they say that, you've got to find out your identity through PPR, connection to the whenua, I'm like, no, hold on. It's an internal thing, So what brings that out is something that they feel passionate about and something that they can work on. It doesn't necessarily mean the Te Ao Māori world. It's just something that they're passionate about.
It might be rugby league. It might be fixing Holden V8s. I mean, whatever they're into, mine it and promote it for them.
Yeah, that's the thing is. So when I took this and I built a model, I built it around a specific product that my son, when he was 9 years old, designed.
Yeah. Wow.
It all started with an idea. He came up to me and said, "Dad, I've got an idea for an app, an Android app."
Yes.
We then sat down, started to go through the process, validate the idea. We brainstormed the idea. Are there any competitors? If there is, what can we do different or do to improve that idea?
That's great.
We ended up ticking the box and moved on to the next stage. We validated that idea. We moved to the next stage, which was develop that idea into the product, which is the app.
Yeah, and so your progress is if you see people change their lives, young people changing their lives in front of you, that's success for you, I reckon, isn't it?
That's it. That's all it is, you know. But if we can tap into and utilise this monetary thing, which is turn a product into profit, and not only that, the abundance of them focusing on something, bringing up their sense of self-worth, letting them know that, hey, my ideas do matter.
These boys, and I feel really strongly about this, and Graham Lowe does great work in this space. These boys have to be told that they're loved and they're wanted, and they need to be cuddled, and they need to be embraced, and they need to be told that they're good at
and
something.
also
Not consistently put down and beaten up and given and treated like trash. These kids are tomorrow's future.
You see the massive shift in their mentality and the state where they understand that they are worth something.
Yeah.
And that an idea they come up with has value, not just the sense of internal value, but it also has market value. So that's when you utilise that whole monetary thing. Yep. And you use it. So we come up with some products. So we developed this app. I launched the third step was launched it on Google Play Store, and then we started to generate funds from downloads. So this is the process here, and so we do that, copy that exact same steps and processes, and then put it towards when we bring our troubled kids and troubled youth into a space and say, copy this exact same model.
So what's the name of the app?
With your own idea. Yeah, with your own ideas.
Yeah, so what's the name of the app? Have you developed it yet, or have you got a name for it?
Yeah, it's called, it's an app that was, it was designed by a 10-year-old. It has a connection to a New Zealand culture. So the foundation of the app is New Zealand slang.
Right. So and the name of the app is
Cuzzy Audio.
Cuzzy Audio, is it?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. We'll look out for it. And people need to follow that and have a look at it. Hey Jay, thank you for calling, mate. I better move on with the rest of the show, but thank you for your kōrero. Thank you for your ideas, and thank you for what you're doing for young people.
Cheers. Thank you.
Okay, got it. Thanks, mate. Good on you for calling.
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, I better do some questions here.
3 questions from the Editor-in-Chief. 1.
And number 1, guess what Labor would do to Mike King? The Labor Party is calling on this government to review its $24 million worth of support for Mike King's Gumboot Friday, after Mike King claimed that, quote, alcohol is the solution for mental distress in another interview he did. Numerous mental health campaigners and experts have sharply rebuked King for his claims, slamming the comments as disgusting and unprofessional. A University of Otago professor and the Mental Health Foundation, the Drug Foundation, the Minister for Mental Health and other campaigners say medical research makes it clear that alcohol is linked with mental illness and suicide. King defended his claims to the Herald and said medical research proves that alcohol consumption was linked to suicide was a matter of opinion. So what about those who say that alcohol can settle nerves and take the edge off things, and it's been like that for a lifetime? Is that at all relevant? Is that relevant, and whose side are you on here?
2.
And number 2, should police consult with affected parties before they do a raid? I say no way. But local iwi in the Bay of Plenty, I'll say more on this shortly, say they should have been given a heads up before the recent raids on gang houses to keep them in the picture. Why would the police give away their tactical response in advance? I think the public voted strongly for gangs to be dealt to by the police, and iwi leaders may live in an opposite universe, but the general public wants the gangs smashed open, and they want life to become much, much harder for these largely antisocial thugs, don't you think?
3.
And number 3, should we ban Halloween and ban fireworks? No! Just no. Let's not get rid of the fun, and let's not wipe out people's childhoods just because we've had our fun, so let's now be all sensible. Fewer rules, not more rules, please. Go wild, kids, but just watch out for the sugar and make sure you get to bed at some time later tonight.
Duncan Garner, live.
Yes or no to banning fireworks? There's a real movement to ban fireworks, eh?
Oh, you're like talking Guy Fawkes?
Yeah. We can buy them from tomorrow, I think.
Yes, yeah. It's real. It's real. Like, I appreciate how tight the timing is to get fireworks. Like you can only buy them. Yeah. Which I think is responsible.
That's right. That is responsible. That is the bit. It's narrow. You know.
I mean, I've always had fond memories of Guy Fawkes. I remember we used to a whole bunch of people would all go out to this. It's a real fever dream for me because it was when I was like 4 years old, we'd go out to this big farm together where someone's parents lived, and we'd do a big fireworks show all together and a barbecue. It was always great. And
Social occasion, yeah.
But the thing that's always got it is a very weird thing to celebrate because you're essentially celebrating what was a terrorist attack.
Correct. We don't think about that too much, though. We just like the idea of buying something that goes bang.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Well,
obviously, the terrorist attack wasn't successful. But, it's still a very strange thing to celebrate.
No, but there are some... I mean, in my day, we used to... I know it's a long time ago. I mean, yeah, this is ancient stuff. The little double happies that you'd put in people's letterboxes, bang.
Yeah.
Now, that would reverberate around the neighbourhood, except I put them in the police officers. He didn't appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I've heard stories of people putting them in...
Would you buy some?
In keys. Personally, I won't. I mean, I live in the CBD, so it's a bit obnoxious for me to set up fireworks on...
because they reverberate around the place.
Yeah, exactly. So there better not be fireworks around where I live.
I made the mistake of letting them off on the beach about 10 years ago in Auckland. I didn't realise there was a ban here. I just had come from Wellington to Auckland. I thought, we can let them off on the beach.
Yeah.
Not good.
Not good. No. Do you want to speak to that, Lockie?
Oh,
hello, Lockie.
I'll be. You've thrown me in the deep end.
Sorry.
No, I'll be honest. I'm not the biggest fan of it at all of fireworks. So if they got banned, I'd be pretty stoked.
What about banning Halloween?
No, Halloween's fine. It's
Yeah.
harmless.
Yeah.
Halloween's fine.
You
Seeing
can
kids dress up and go out, get some candy, have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
As long as they're sensible, which most of them I think are. It's fine.
But just driving here tonight, the streets are full of kids.
Really?
Yeah, everywhere, right through Ponsonby.
See, I'm from Christchurch, and it's not a thing down there at all. I thought that was the thing all across New Zealand.
No, it's only been recent years that it's gone.
Okay, interesting.
Last year in Halloween, I put on a bicycle, a helmet, a motorbike helmet,
Yeah.
and then had a softball bat.
Nice.
And wandered the streets. You couldn't see my eyes.
On your own?
No, I had no, I'm not that creepy and weird. But I just did it as sort of with the young boys. The boys were 12, and I just sort of was their security as we walked around.
Nice.
It was a little bit intimidating.
Yeah, I'm sure it was.
I'll stand behind a tree and go like this to people. Anyway, it was a bit odd, but that's as odd as I get. Thanks, boys.
Duncan Garner, live.
Okay, so Te Whakatohia leaders have expressed deep concern over recent police raids in Opotiki, which they say they weren't supportive of, and neither were they consulted over. I mean, should they be told every move by the New Zealand police? The answer is no. Would they normally? No. I mean, these are top secret, these operational matters. Come on. The iwi leaders' position is in stark contrast to what Mark Mitchell has said in his insistence in Parliament last week that police are constantly working with and consulting with local iwi and hapu when discussing the raids. He said that in Parliament. Now, the Eastern Bay of Plenty-based iwi says that raids on 15 homes led to 22 arrests, but also adversely affected 37 mokapuna, or kids. In a statement this afternoon, Te Whakatohia, the iwi Trust Board, said that the raids had raised concerns about the Crown's relationship with Te Whakatohia, and their primary responsibility is the safety and the support of the young kids. And the kaumātua affected by these events, and we're dedicated to working constructively and collaboratively to uphold the well-being of our whānau and community. Now, they said that the impacts of the raids on young people must never be allowed to happen again. And they say, we stand united in our efforts to find solutions to best address the issues that we're facing in our community. We want to address these issues through collaboration while building trust with our whānau and those most affected. But the police have insisted that Whakatohia, then the leadership there, had said they were very appreciative of the Opotiki operation last Tuesday. Now, for operational reasons, police do not give advance notice to anyone of intentions to execute search warrants. I mean, what would be the point of that? Hi, Mugger Mob, please. Yes, well, we'll be around at 9 in the morning to... I mean, why would you do that? I mean, they stand by their operation. The police have also said that they'd prevented the extremely harmful supply of methamphetamine into Opotiki from these alleged offenders, therefore ensuring the health and well-being of mokapuna into the future, and it's improved. Surely if gang members are being targeted, the iwi should be thankful. Maybe they should be concerned about 37 young kids living in and amongst the gangs and the gang houses. Why is this the police's fault? I mean, I think the iwi leaders need to stand up and say that the gangs are the scourge and the kids are being brought up in gang houses, and that's unacceptable. Where is that criticism? Just turn it on its head for a bit. Now, that would be welcomed by the public. I think iwi leaders are too quiet on some issues, too selective on some issues in public. Surely the well-being of these young people is paramount. And what is more damaging, police busting and stopping the criminal activity, or the gangsters who basically aid and abet the criminal activity by taking part in it, while their kids live in the same house. Sometimes I think that the iwi leaders are a bit deluded and they appear out of touch with popular public opinion and expectations. Where's their demonstration against the gangs? Where's their protest against the gangs? Where's their protest against gang life? Where is it? Why don't they talk about that? People voted in the last election for the police to crack down on gang behaviour and are doing exactly what the majority of Kiwis wanted. Now, iwi leaders need to pick a side. Right now, I wonder if they're on the wrong side of this debate. Good evening.
3. Duncan Garner, live.
Why do I always slip in something like a 2 or a 3? My fingers, the fat fingers, they say I can't hit the buttons properly. Anyway, I can never be saved. That's us. Thank you for tuning in to Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live with Esther's Oil, the premium New Zealand-made fish oil supplement, backed by a study, support joint heart and brain health. About Health have a $500 Pro Health Pack giveaway running all October, so this is the last day. Okay, with all the orders going in to the draw to win, you can use the code Duncan for 10% off and an extra entry as well. You get an extra entry. 0800 999 309 is the number. There's people are standing by if you want to get your product. Duncan says, Andrew, I live in Portkey. The gang is running this town and it's terrible. You see, that's where the iwi leadership should be targeting. We find this gang leadership unacceptable. We find the gangs unacceptable, and they're bringing up kids in gang houses. Come on, man. Duncan says, Mike, I've seen so many amazing costumes around Tauranga this evening. Happy Halloween. Fireworks is fine. There should be a law against people doing them all year round. First 2 weeks of November only. Ban happiness. That will appease the robot masters, says Mike. And James says, and some people, but it can destroy their lives. Alcohol can be dangerous. Alcohol. How many good decisions have you made on alcohol? I haven't made many, if any. There's a whole heap of them, a whole string of these terrible decisions. Thanks, TikTok. I've seen you all night. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your messages. All your messages there. I hope I got back to you okay. That is us. This will be available as a podcast on Rover shortly and wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for all your feedback and support. I'm Duncan at rover.nz. To my team, Isaac, Forrester, Lockie. Mike, it's a big team now. I'm starting to worry about the size of the team. Because, in an era of, cutbacks and everything, I reckon we could be here, but we might hide two of you under the desk.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Something like that?
Yeah, we could do that. Forrester can work remotely from home. They'll never know.
Well, consultant.
Yeah, exactly.
Consultant. He looks like, and he wanders around like a consultant now too.
Oh yes, he does.
With the air
he's got a strut now, doesn't he?
You have nailed it. He struts.
Yeah.
He struts like I'm actually more important than the podcast
he's an engineer.
itself.
He's the one that set up the studio. So if it wasn't for him, if something went wrong and he wasn't here, the show wouldn't happen.
He does walk around like he's almost like the chief executive of this program.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm going to have a word with him. I'll have a word with my editorial production team. It shouldn't take long. I'll stand in front of the mirror and talk to myself. Right, that's us, guys. We'll do this again tomorrow. Remember, life is no dress rehearsal. There is no curtain raiser. This is it. We live in one of the best places on earth. So get out, enjoy it, let your fireworks off, knock on the door, get some lollies, and if they don't give it to you, get a water pistol and have a go. Have a great day, New Zealand. Take care.
That was Duncan Garner, Editor-in-Chief Live. Missed something on the live stream? Text Duncan to 3598 to listen back on the podcast. Want to get in touch? Call 0800 863 293.